Good evening to you all, and welcome to the Seth Joyner Show presented by Bet Parks. Boy, we got a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to break down some stuff on the whiteboard. Again, I will throw it out to you guys to give me some suggestions on what you would like for me to break down on the whiteboard. In the second half hour, former Eagles co-host of the midday show, Hugh Douglas, will join me to kind of break down what we've got going on. I had Larry Fitzgerald on the Seth Joyner TV show today. You can see that tomorrow evening at 11 p.m. on PHL 17. And then again, you can see it once again on Thursday at 11 p.m. on NBC Sports Philly. A lot to get to here today. A lot of people a little bit pissed off with me, but I don't really give a damn because it's not my job to be a fanboy. It's my job to be an analyst. And sometimes the truth hurts. Sometimes people can't deal with the truth. But my mom used to always tell me, son, you deal with things in life from a standpoint of truth, because the truth does not have to be defended. It will defend itself. If you tell a lie, you got to tell 10 more lies to cover the first lie. But if you tell the truth will defend itself, okay? So if I've said anything that offends somebody, so what? Deal with it, okay? This football team, has disappointed us again. And I said it on WIP on Monday morning that I'm done drinking the Kool-Aid, that there have been some issues with this football team. And what winds up happening is when a team is winning, you've got deodorant. You've got the mask over the issues and the things that are going on. And that's what the Eagles did all season long. They won 7 in a row. They won 8 in a row. They won 5 in a row, and then they lost one to the Jets. It caught up with them. Then they won 5 more in a row. And we were so enamored with 10-1 that we overlooked the non-productiveness of the offense. We overlooked that a defense was getting systematically worse and statistically worse week after week after week. And now they delve in the depths of almost every statistical category defensively, in the lower thirds of all statistical categories. They're the worst team in the National Football League on third down conversions. They're 30th in the National Football League in red zone defense. They got to be last in the league in pass defense, okay? But all everybody wanted to talk about, and the offense, even though the numbers look similar to what we saw last year, okay, they weren't dominating games. I mean, when you have to go to overtime against the Washington Commanders, and listen, I'm the first one to say, there's only 1,696 players in all of the NFL. That is basically 53 guys on every roster when you look at the numbers, okay? The best of the best. But not all teams are built equally. And I get that. You got to play who's on your schedule. It is what it is, okay? But there are certain teams and certain games that you play where you know that you should dominate those games. I don't think the Eagles have really dominated any game this year. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here saying, the sky's falling. I want the Eagles, to fall on their face, or I don't like, the football team. I want the football team to do well. I want the football team to do well because I'm a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles, but I'm a media personality, first of all, okay? And then I'm a fan. I want the team to do well because I love the city of Philadelphia, and these fans deserve every winning sports franchise, every championship that they can get because they've been through it on every single level. But at the end of the day, my job is to be an analyst and break down what I see. And I've been derelict in my duty from the standpoint of, you know, last year when I chirped and made all of that noise about the pass rush and Jonathan Gannon's lack of ability to, to blitz, everybody said, oh, all Seth wants to do is blitz. And, why should they blitz when, they're eating up, 70 sacks? Because I knew that there would come a point in time in the season where they would need to blitz. And if it was something that they did not do, if they weren't proficient at it, then guess what? They weren't going to be good at it when they needed to be good at it or when they needed to call it up. Okay. Where did that take place? That took place in the Super Bowl because the pass rush couldn't get there because they had us on a nasty field. And that was the strength of our defense. And the Kansas City Chiefs blitzed. They brought pressure on Jalen Hurts, and he made him pay. But we brought no pressure, and Patrick Mahomes in the second half put on a clinic, and we fell 3 points short at the end of the day because we had no blitz package. We had no answer for what they were doing, okay? This season, team came out. They looked sluggish to start. You know what? Really not feeling this team should really be doing some dynamic things, especially on the offensive side of the ball. You lost Isaac Seumalo, but you got Cam Jurgens in there. You got Miles Sanders, where everyone wants to say, hey, no big deal. We can replace a running back. They're a dime a dozen. That's why we, devalue them. So you lost 2 starters from last year, and the offense looks nothing like it did last year. Nothing. They've turned into a turnover machine. Jalen Hurts has 10 interceptions and 5 lost fumbles, okay? He ranks in the lower half as far as quarterbacks are concerned in turning the football over. But we ignored all of that. You want to know why? Oh, they're 5-1, 7, 8, 9, 10-1. So we just ignored it. And my football eyes and my football mind told me something else. But I got lulled to sleep with everybody else. And I heard someone the other day on the radio, make the comment, oh, it's easy in hindsight. Bull, it's not easy in hindsight. Because if you're really honest with yourself, you could look and see that this team was flawed, has been flawed all season long. They have been. But every time that, I would give a critical analysis or someone would have something critical to say about the team, oh, but, we're 10-1 or we're 9-1 or we're 8-1. What are you complaining about? Because I knew at some point, just like I did last year, that the pass rush was going to fail them. I knew at some point that the shoddy, spotty, and inept offense and defense that we're seeing right now is exactly what would bite us in the ass later on, okay? So we have Super Bowl aspirations. What Super Bowl are we going to playing the way we played the last 2 weeks? Do you realize the last 2 opponents hung 75 points on this Eagles defense? That's 37.5 points a game that they're averaging giving up the last 2 weeks. And on offense, they're only averaging 16 points a game. As a matter of fact, they got blanked the other night by the Dallas Cowboys. The defense had to score a touchdown to even give us any points on the board, okay? But we just want to act like everything is okay because what? We're short of a playoff spot. And if we went out, there's still a possibility, that we could get home field advantage. If we went out, there's a possibility that, we can win the division. I don't live in the world of ifs no more. Because if it was a fifth, we'd all be drunk, okay? And I'm done with that. I'm done with it. It's not, again, I will say it's not that I want this football team not to be successful, okay? But there's a truth to what you see, okay? The coaches used to say and the players used to say, the eye in the sky don't lie. So you can go back and look at all 13 games that the Eagles have played and tell me where have they been able to put it together in both phases. They've hammed and egged it all season long, to use my best tournament golf, saying. They hammed and egged it all year. When the defense was playing well, the offense was struggling. When the offense played well, the defense struggled. They went back and forth all season long, and they covered each other, and it worked for a long time, to the tune of 10-1. The last 2 weeks, it hasn't, So we're going to be real about this thing, or we're just going to stick our heads in the sand and act like everything is okay and just miraculously they're going to figure it out. If they haven't figured it out after 13 weeks, you think they're going to figure it out with 4 weeks left in the season? Offensively, what happened to this offense? Now you're getting rumblings from the outside that the players, somebody's chirping and chiming in from the outside. They don't like the way the offense is being run. Oh, we're too predictable and whatnot. Yeah, you know what? There's a side that would tell you, hey, you just go play and execute. If y'all stop turning the damn ball over and start catching the ball, start making plays, and start making tackles when the tackles are there to be made, and start playing a little more aggressively so that we can force some turnovers. If you play this pansy-ass style of football, guess what's going to happen? You ain't getting no turnovers. Do you realize that we've got 2 turnovers probably in the last 4 or 5 weeks of this season? You want to know why? Because we play so damn passive. Fletcher Cox had to get a sack fumble, and the young kid, Jalen Carter, had to pick it up and run it back. The last time that the Eagles had a turnover on defense was when James Bradbury intercepted Josh Allen late in that game, that turned that game around, or they probably would have lost that one. Okay? So somebody help me. Somebody tell me. Show me the optimism that I should be carrying right now. Okay? Because I'm pretty pissed off about 2 things. I'm pissed off at how this team is playing with so much expectation and so much talent and ability on this team. I'm a little irked at how they look. I'm a little irked, with how they have come out. I can give you a pass on San Francisco, but how in the hell do you go to Dallas? How do you go to Dallas? The most hated rival that you have, the team that you're fighting for to win the division over. How do you go to Dallas and look so uninterested in the game of football? I don't understand it. Not 2 weeks in a row. Not 2 weeks in a row. I can understand 1 week. This team doesn't play that way. This team doesn't lose games like that. Do you realize the last time the Eagles lost 2 games back-to-back was week 16 and 17 last week, and Gardner Minshew was a starting quarterback? Jalen was on the shelf. The last time. And you go and lose a game to the Dallas Cowboys. Now, if they were competitive and they lose the game, I'm okay with that. But to go down and get your ass taken out to the woodshed 2 weeks in a row, okay, that's unconscionable. Not for a team who has Super Bowl aspirations. That's the time where you dig real deep, where the leaders step up and they impress upon the young guys on the team the importance of that game, okay? Now you got to go out west and play on a Monday night against the Seattle Seahawks, who've lost 4 games in a row. But they watched the last 2 weeks. They got the same game film everybody else has got. They see the Eagles getting their asses handed to them. You think that after four losses and realizing that, hey, you know what? If we got any aspirations of getting into the playoffs after losing 4 in a row, it's go time. And if you look at what San Francisco and Dallas just did to the Philadelphia Eagles, oh, we can get some of that ass too. You think that they're not thinking that way? So the Eagles can go and saunter their way into that stadium if they want to, thinking that because they're less of a team than the two that they just played, that they're just going to lay down and give them a game. You're sadly mistaken. Okay. We'll be right back here next week, firing this thing up, going off again. And if that ain't bad enough, the New York Giants think that they can get it done now. They just won a game last night. How do you think they're feeling? How do you think they're looking at the Eagles? What about the spoiler you think that they can be? And then you turn around and you got the Arizona Cardinals coming in here. Okay. They already beat the Cowboys early in the season. And they see the way that the Cowboys came in here. We went down there last week and they beat the dust off of us. You think that they don't think that they can win? See, it's about the messages. Sometimes how you win is just as important as if you win, because you know what it is? It's a future projection as to how you're going to play down the road. And they've been projecting bad football all year long, and they just happen to get away with it to the tune of 10-1. And against these better teams that you can't turn the ball over against, that you can't, that you got to get off the field on third down on defense, and you got to convert third downs on offense. And when you get in the red zone, you got to put the damn ball in the end zone. Guess what? You lose those games when you don't do those fundamentals. Okay. So somebody help me, because I'm not feeling very optimistic about this football team right now. Okay. And I'm sure somebody on here or somebody will jump on my social media later on and be like, oh, what an overreaction. What an overreaction. Seth Joyner is just like off the charts. The Eagles are going to be fine. Okay. Okay. Listen, nobody likes to say I told you so. Okay. Nobody likes to tell you I told you so. But when this team falls flat on its face, unless they get their act together, I'm going to be the first one to tell you I told you so. Because you know what? I'm man enough that if they do turn it around, to come on here and Jacob Media on Sunday and WIP on Monday and Wednesday and any other forum and my TV show and say, hey, you know what? I got it all wrong. I'm man enough to do that. But I'm not playing that game of, oh, but you know they're winning. I'm not playing that game anymore. I'm going to be man enough to call it the way that I see it. I'll take the heat as it comes. Even in the midst of them having a winning record and being in the playoffs and potentially winning the division, I'll take the heat, okay? Because I know better. I've been around football too long. I've seen too much football with these eyes and experienced too much football with this body not to know what the game of football looks like. And right now, this team doesn't look good. Something don't feel right. The fight and the motivation and the energy ain't there. Now, how can that be? When you just tasted, you came so close. You had the cigar in your mouth last season and the lighter in your hand. And the Kansas City Chiefs slapped them both one out of your hand and one out of your mouth. Okay. So if you've tasted that, shouldn't that be enough to inspire you to go and get that brass ring, to go and get that Lombardi trophy? This team's not playing like that's their agenda. And I don't know what it is and I don't know why. But Nick Sirianni better hurry up and figure it out. You better hurry up and figure it out. All right. All right. I'm stepping off. And if I was like in my 30s, I might jump off my pedestal, but I'm going to step off this bad boy. And I'm going to give you guys the next 10 minutes to fire some questions at me. I'm taking them. I'm, kicking it raw because I'm still pissed off. The more I think about it, the more pissed off I get. The people like, oh, it's all hindsight. Yeah, it's hindsight, but we want to act like everything's just been hunky-dory and this team has just been lighting it up all season long. No, they haven't. Hey, man, lucky as hell to be 10-1. Lucky as hell. First question. D Space wants to know, do I think once Shaquille Leonard gets acclimated to our defense, hey, listen, He has been a great player the number of years that he's been in the league. I asked the question in many different forms last week, you know, is he the answer? Is he the fix? Or is he simply, a Band-Aid? I just don't know that teams let great players get away, or players who have a lot left in the tank just walk away, you know. And let me tell you something, fronts and coverages are universal. You might call them different things, but they ain't running anything different in Philadelphia than they were running in Indianapolis. They running the same coverages and they running the same fronts. They just might be they name them and they call them differently. Okay. But if you're in there and you're communicating, I think he could have got more than 14 plays, I think it was, you know. We sure it couldn't have hurt us, given, the lack of stellar linebacker play we've seen throughout the course of this year. So I don't know. The jury's still out. Let's see. Let's see when he gets acclimated whether he can be a difference maker, or whether whether it's just a Band-Aid, I don't know. Nobody knows. Next question. Bobby wants to know, could coach really make a change at offensive coordinator this late in the season and it make a difference? Listen, why? They're not going to change. They are who they are. That's why, we always talk about in the preseason, the move from the preseason to the regular season. And now the first 4 games really looks like the preseason, for teams. You want to try to get through those first 4 games because you realize that, hey, listen, at the end of the day, what winds up happening is, if I'm a coordinator or I'm a player, I need 4 game films to figure out who you are. Once you get through the first 4 games of the season, you might have a wrinkle here, a wrinkle there, a little key breaker here, a key breaker there, but you are who you are. You're not changing your offense. You might have little pieces in your offense and little sections in your playbook that you can add or delete and change some things, but for the most part, you are who you are. Okay? This offense isn't changing. Nick Sirianni said he's not taking over the play calling duties. The thing that astonishes me is that the thing that made Jalen Hurts an MVP candidate and, really shoulder injury or elbow injury, shoulder injury away from winning it last year was the RPO and the read option. And it has literally vanished from this offense. Now, I understand you want your quarterback to be, a pocket passer. You want him to protect himself. Because when you sign him to $255 million or whatever it is, you want to make sure that you're getting a return on an investment. So you need to have him healthy. If he goes down, the season goes down. Okay. Mark Jackson likes to say hand down, man down. No, quarterback down, quarterback 1 down, season over. How about that? So I get it. But the things that make you dynamic, you've completely taken them out of your offense. And you're asking him to do things in a way that kind of makes him one-dimensional. I think sometimes you just got to turn the guy loose. Let him play football. You can't protect players in this game. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be. If you're out there playing, you're either going to be fortunate and not get injured, or you might get injured, And he can be injured in the pocket just as much as he can being outside the pocket running the football. But I know one thing, he makes more big plays on the move than he does from in the pocket. Where's the bootlegs? Where's the short rolls? Where are these things that allows him to be dynamic and prevents defensive coordinators and defenses from minimizing his skill set? So to answer your question, no, they're not changing the defense. The offense, that's not going to help them in any way. They just need to take the things that they use that have helped him get to where he is and reincorporate those things back into the offense, in my opinion. All right. The Village wants to know, why is our secondary never tackle on the spot but gets trucked for extra yards? Well, Okay, so me and Darius Slade got into it about this last week when I called out the cornerbacks for not tackling. Um, I think that it's not Sean Desai's real desire to be a passive style DC, but I believe that it's the organization's mandate that he play a bend but don't break style. And the problem is when you play that way, when you play a bend but don't break style and you play a passive style, believe it or not, it makes your players passive. Okay. Because the message that you're sending is we want to keep everything in front of us and we don't want to give up the big plays. Okay. So that stops them from jumping routes and making interceptions. That stops them from tackling aggressively because they're afraid that if they miss the tackle, how many times have you seen it when they do come on a blitz or a pressure? Because they don't blitz. A blitz is when you bring more than they can actually block. A pressure is when you send one linebacker and you got five blockers on five blockers with the back in the backfield, you know, who can help out also. So that's not really a blitz. But people want to throw those numbers around. Oh, they blitzed, 40% last week. BS. That's not blitzing. That's a pressure. And I can see it coming a mile away. The minute that Nicholas Moreau start walking up on the line or start walking up in the line, that's a telltale sign that he's coming. And not only do the offensive linemen for the opposing team know that, the quarterback knows that. And he knows where to go with the ball right now. I see other teams around the league who show you one thing and come from the other side. They bring blitzes that forces the ball out right now. The cornerbacks are all 5 yards off the ball. They know that the ball has to come out hot right now. So what do? As soon as the ball is thrown, bam, they come up and they make the tackle for a 3-yard gain, punt, get off the field. But what do? 3rd and 5, we play 10 yards off the ball and just give up the damn first down. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But to answer your question, a passive mindset turns players passive. And you can kind of see it in the way that everyone from the defensive line behind the defensive line to the secondary, you can tell by the way that they tackle. Football is a game of aggression. If I can get close enough to you to put my hand on you, then I can take the extra step and put my body on you and wrap my arms around you. Why do they miss so many tackles? Because they get close as they can get to the guy and then they dive for his legs. Like he don't see you going for his legs. So then he either jumps over you, steps over you, or stiff arms you. But if I can get close enough to put my hand on you, I can get close enough. I can take the extra 1 or 2 steps and put my body on you and ensure that I put your ass down on the ground. Stop trying to tackle tight ends and big wide receivers like Deebo Samuels up around the shoulder pads. These guys are bench pressing 300-400 pounds. They're throwing you around like a little rag doll. Get close enough to their body, get on the leg, wrap up, hold on for dear life. If you get them down, good. If not, at least you stop the momentum and your buddies are coming. But they don't tackle aggressive because they don't practice tackling. They don't tackle aggressive because they play with a passive mindset. See, back when we played, my intent was to make you feel me. Sean Desai said he wants to make the opponent feel him. You guys heard the press conference when he first was hired here. We want a blue collar, defense that mimics the city. And I don't think he knew that he would be directed in how that defense should look and how it should play and how passive it is. And you don't believe what I'm saying. You think I'm just blowing smoke. Go back and look at Jim Schwartz. Jim Schwartz and his bend but don't break defense made all of us pull what little bit of hair we had left out. He got to the Super Bowl, took that team to the Super Bowl, and thankful to him, they won. But it wasn't because of what they did on the defense other than BG, with that big sack fumble. Okay? But I can tell you, Tom Brady threw for 505 yards in that Super Bowl, and the Eagles still won. But look at where Jim Schwartz is now, defense coordinator for the Cleveland Browns. He got some dogs and he got some horses, but he ain't sitting back playing passive. He's coming after people. We went off about Jonathan Gannon all last year. Okay, wouldn't come. Got in the Super Bowl, wouldn't blitz, wouldn't bring any pressure, wouldn't play aggressive. Jonathan Gannon down in Arizona blitzing his ass off right now. So when you consider those two things, then you have to consider that maybe it's not the former coordinators in their mindset. It might not even be Sean Desai in his mindset. But maybe those decisions are coming from somebody somewhere else, just telling them that this is what the analytics said. Okay, we want to make sure we don't give up explosive plays, but we want to create explosive plays on the other side of the ball. And in a lot of ways, that desire for explosive plays, in my opinion, is what really puts this defense in a position where they don't play as aggressive. The offense, rather, they're trying to get explosive plays down the field without having earned it. You earned it by running the ball in the short passing game that makes the defense adjust and move up. Now, when they move up, now you can take your shots down the field. Now, when you got a lead, now they got to blitz you. Now you take your shots down the field. But their mindset is there's just, we're going to force the shot down the field no matter what. And it's worked. It's worked. It worked last year. I can't tell you how many times Jalen Hurts threw the ball in the coverage and A.J. Brown went up and got it, made the double coverage look like clowns. It ain't working this year. So they got to do something different. All right. I need to breathe for a second. So I'm going to take a break. When I come back, we're going to jump into a little whiteboard session. I think I'm going to show you guys, some blitzes that the Eagles can use, some of the things that you see from other teams, maybe one or two, how the Eagles can get more pressure. And yeah, it's a chance. You're taking a risk, but sometimes you have to take the risk. You can't sit back all game long. And you can't send one linebacker all game long and call it a blitz. You got to figure out a way to be more creative in what you do. I'll be back in a sec.
When you open the BetParks app, you're in the zone. Winning is always a rush, but the money is in the moments. It's the confidence and underdogs covering, the tension before a clutch turnover, and the pride of a parlay paying off. It's another chance to win big with all-day action. Plus, win your first $10 bet and get $125 in sports bonus bets. You play for fun, you love to win. You bet. BetParks.
If you understand that success is built on trusted relationships and dependable performance, MidPenn Bank is the right bank for you. We're on a mission to prove that the right bankers can make a big difference. We work harder, we get things done, and we're in your corner. With financial centers strategically located throughout the greater Philadelphia region and new locations in central New Jersey, we're ready to bring you the best in commercial and personal banking. Call or visit us today to connect with a professional MidPenn banker. Member FDIC. Go Eagles!
Welcome to Bridgeview Partners, where IT and business innovation merge. We're not just another tech company. We're your strategic partner in navigating the ever-evolving digital landscape. Our team of experts tailors cutting-edge solutions to fit your unique needs, and ensuring your success is our top priority. Elevate your business with Bridgeview Partners. Discover the power of partnership and tech innovation today. Contact us now to experience the difference. Bridgeview Partners, where innovation meets excellence.
Welcome back, guys. This is the Seth Joyner Show presented by BetParks. As we jump into our whiteboard session today, going to talk about, the potential that the Eagles have, for being a little more creative, in their blitz package. And I get it, they're fighting against giving up the explosive plays. And then when your cornerbacks and your secondary doesn't cover at the level where you need it, you're a little more apprehensive about, how you call defenses. Like I said, the Eagles are last in the league in third down conversions. They can't get off the field. So you can keep playing passive and keep allowing teams to convert at 70+%. By the way, the better defenses, they only give up, their goal is 33% or less. Okay. The Eagles are right there around, they're giving up. I mean, they're giving up somewhere around 60 something percent on third down on the year. Okay. So at some point in time, you got to make the decision that you're going to come. You can't just sit back and hope that things change. It just doesn't work that way. So let's get in a little 40 front here. I'll give you guys one out of the 40 front and one out of the 50 front. A little bit of creativity here. So let's get our safeties here. Free safety over here. We start off with them in too high. So you got your linebacker here, and you got a linebacker here. I would play it that way. Okay. So we're just going to go single high across the board. All right. So what I'd like to see the Eagles do is run more games, specifically, inside, because these two guys are getting doubles so much that they're not getting the pass rush that they need to or that they want to. And what teams will do is they'll take this tight end instead of flexing him and bring him here and block here the tight end on the end and then double here and double here. So you're not getting any inside push. These guys have been so dominant early in the season that you don't see a whole lot of that. So what I like to really see is, some stunts. Let's loop him around. Okay. Let's get him up the field. Let's bring this linebacker through this gap and let's get here. Okay. Now, if this back wants to come across and help on this linebacker, we're going to hug him up and bring him in this gap. Now we got every gap. Every gap is accounted for, Now, this safety's got to get over here and get this tight end, but he's going to play 5 yards off, 5 yards off, 5 yards off. And then you got a safety still in the hole to protect you. But you sent more than they can actually cover. And if you can get there fast enough, the quarterback's only going to have one read to get the ball out of his hands. And it's a wrap from there. It's going to be it. That's what a true effective, blitz will do. It will speed up the clock and confuse a quarterback. Now, they have a great advantage, in my opinion, from the five-man look. From the five-man look, because you can get Nolan Smith incorporated in this. Okay. So you got your end here. You go your five-man, and then you've got number 3 out here. Okay. Same scenario. Okay. It causes a little more of a problem when you go 5-man, because then what winds up happening is you lose one guy on the back end. Okay. So let's put the tight end here off the ball. This corner's up. Okay. So you're going to wind up in single high with a free safety high, your slot corner here. Okay. And then you're going to wind up with one linebacker here, and the strong safety is going to drop down in the box. Okay. So there's all kind of games that you can run here. Okay. You can take this tackle, slant him down, slant Nolan off the edge, loop the linebacker around right now. The linebacker is going to be blitz pickup on this running back. Okay. So he's got him man to man. That's the matchup that you want. Okay. The tight end, once the tight end stays, the strong safety has the tight end, but once the tight end turns, okay, that tackle's going to kick, send the strong safety. And then you just want a bull rush here. Okay. He's going to still got contained. You just want a bull rush here. Okay. Now you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys, and you only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you count him, but you got man across the board, and this kind of stunning is really what confuses coverages, protections, I should say. Now, you may be afraid because you got these guys out here in coverage. And I'm not talking about just running these randomly. These are situational blitzes that you can bring more than they can block. Not only that, you can bring it in a way where you confuse what they're doing here. Okay. You can actually kick this guy over. Let's put him over like a defensive end and take Nolan Smith and put him here. Put number 3 here. And this is some of the things that I envisioned, okay, with Nolan Smith when they first got him here. Okay. That you can run all types of blitzes here. Imagine you've got this guy here, and instead of the linebacker going outside, he's going up the field. Okay. You get him kicking out. Now you send Nolan Smith here. That backer steps up here. Now this guy comes delayed. He comes right off Nolan Smith, free hitter. Now I know I got a lot going on here where you guys really can't see it, but my mind is like going 1,000 miles per hour when I look at the specialness that you have with Nolan Smith right here and how you can use him in a myriad of different ways. Okay. But the Eagles have got to get to a place, you know, and how they do things where they're more aggressive. Because to be honest with you right now, you know, there's not a whole lot of aggressiveness in the way that they're playing football. It's certainly not in the way that they are. Excuse me one second. I'm trying to figure out where my man Hugh is. But you know, we'll do what we do, even if you don't show up. There's so many different things that they can do. So many ways that you can be creative. And yeah, you know, you put your cornerbacks on the island from time to time. That's why I say you're not trying to, this isn't something that you have to do all the time. But if you can figure out, you know, how to disguise what I just showed you guys, if you can disguise it, if you can make the offense think that you're coming from one side, but you actually bring the pressure from the other side, now you got a situation where you catch offenses off guard. You know, if I'm getting my cornerbacks back and forth, inside and out, if they're moving around and giving the quarterback, you know, a pre-snap read that's untrue from the standpoint of what you're going to look like when the ball is snapped, now Dak can't drop back 1, 2, 3 and be throwing the ball on rhythm all day long, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on rhythm all day long. He's got to pull that ball down and make Brock Purdy, you make him come off of that first read and have to go to the second read. Now you're giving that rush time to get there. But if your cornerbacks are going to play so scared and be so far off the ball, they don't stand a snowball's chance of the pass rush getting there. And you got to help them out. Don't have those guys just line up in the same spot all the time and rush the same one-on-one all the time. Use some games. Make them think about how you're going to attack them and how they have to adjust to what they're doing. It's the same thing in the run game. Where's the run blitzes on first and second down from time to time? Put some pressure. If you're not applying the pressure, then that means the pressure is being applied to you. And it's hard to win football games when you're under pressure all the time. All the pressure is on this defensive line, all of it. They asked them to do it all. They asked them to stop the run. That's evident because they don't have linebackers worth a damn. They can stop. They can be, you know, effective in the run game. And they asked them to get to the quarterback so that you can help the guys on the back end. How about you make those guys who get paid step up and do the job? Put some pressure on them from time to time, you know? And if that means you have to give up something every once in a while, then so be it. Because what you're doing is not working. Statistically, you're going the opposite direction of where you really want to go and where you should be going. So you're just going to keep doing the same thing week in and week out, expecting a different result while things get worse and worse. Excuse me. That's called insanity. That's what that's called. It's called insanity. Okay. Let's jump into some more questions here. So Drew wants to know, can we start using all of our running backs, including Penny? Long, methodical rushing drives would help keep our defense off the field if we can cash in on and make opposing defenses tired. You preach it to the choir, man. I don't understand why you go and you get Rashard Penny and you're paying him $1.2 million, $1.3 million, you know, to do absolutely nothing to practice every week. I don't know. Maybe he's not showing them what they want to see, you know, in practice. A lot of times that's what it boils down to. At the other end of the spectrum, they've proven to us again and again and again that they don't give a damn about the rushing side of the offense, other than when they get up and using it as a tool to actually run the clock out. All they want to do is get to the 4-minute mark with a lead, and now we'll balance up our offense by running the football and trying to figure out, how to make it look like the offense is a part of the the offensive game plan. But it's really not. They want to be a pass-centric offense, and they believe that that's how you get it done. And I get it. You're paying one wide receiver $25 million a year. You got a first-round top 10 pick invested in the other, and you got one of the premier tight ends in the National Football League. I get it. But if what you're doing and how you believe the games are to be won, and how you find efficiency in the game isn't working, great coaching is about how you adjust and come off of what you think works, and immerse yourself into the thing that has worked, so that you can get back to the thing that you really want to do, and that's a pass-heavy offense. But if you're going to make yourself one-dimensional every week, you make the defensive coordinator's job easy, as well as you make the player's job easy. Because if I'm looking at the play sheet and I'm saying, man, they're only running the ball, once or twice a quarter. Well, the hell with playing the run. I'm looking at my package I'm looking over here on the left side. Let me go back. What kind of run blitzes do I have? First and second down? Let's come get Jalen Hurts. Let's put him under duress. We'll play the run on the way to the quarterback, because we're coming with gap blitzes, and we've got every single gap covered. So they can't run the ball because we got a guy in every single gap. And on top of that, we're up jamming the wide receivers at the line of scrimmage. They're not fighting to get off the jam. They're just trying to run their routes and try to run by people. We're disrupting the timing. So now you understand why Jalen Hurts ain't throwing the ball on time on rhythm, with any kind of fluidity to the offense. If I can see that and I understand that, and it's my job to just analyze the game, you think the guys that spend 15, 16, 17, 18 hours a day doing what they do, analyzing the film, analyzing what you do, and breaking down, what your strengths and your weaknesses, you think that they don't see that? Come on, coach. Come on. Next question. Ryan wants to know, can I talk a bit about what the benefits the Eagles might see if they utilize more motion? I saw a stat recently showing that they're at the bottom of the league in utilizing. Hey, listen, the motion, everybody uses it against them and has massive success with it. Nick Sirianni has been quoted as saying, hey, I'm not going to use motion just for the sake of using motion. That tells me that he doesn't understand the importance of motion to make a statement, along those lines. What does motion do? Motion gives you a pre-snap read as to whether you're in man or whether you're in zone. Motion creates confusion because anytime you motion a guy, you shift a guy, invariably, oftentimes, you're checking from one defense to another. The killer for the linebackers, especially guys who aren't adept at playing linebacker, and the problem with our linebackers, excluding, Shaq Leonard from this equation, they're all special teams guys. So they haven't played a whole lot of linebacker. The issue with playing linebacker is understanding what you're seeing and having disciplined eyes to look at the things that you need to look at that helps you get in a position to make plays. Having expanded vision. What am I seeing as a linebacker? I'm keying through the uncovered lineman to the quarterback, to the running back. Yes, I can see all of that. And if I can't see all of that as a linebacker, then I can't play. Because the linemen tell me whether it's run or pass. The linemen tell me on a run play which way they're headed. If it's a zone play, they're scoop blocking this way. That means they're running this way. If I got a puller that's pulling, 9 times out of 10, that's telling me, hey, the running player is going over. I get that there are some key breakers out there. but I'm going to take care of that in my preparation as I study film and study my game plan throughout the week. Then I can see those key breakers because there's something in there that's telling me, even though he's pulling, the other offensive linemen aren't actually taking real estate. They're still behind the line of scrimmage. So that's kind of telling me, hey, they're pulling, but it's not necessarily a situation where it's a run play, it's a pass play. So let me look somewhere else in my keying to see whether I can, get a cue somewhere else that tells me that the ball is not necessarily going where the puller is going. Okay. That's coaching, that's preparation. All right. So yeah, it causes a lot of problems. It causes undisciplined eyes, not only with the linebackers, but it also causes it with, the safeties. It causes it with coverage. When you take a guy and you motion him here and then you motion him back, are we communicating as to what we're doing and what the adjustment actually is? So the motion piece of it, yes, is a massive part. It's a big part. Especially, with undisciplined eyes and undisciplined defenses, you can cause a lot of problems. You heard James Bradbury talk about it a couple of weeks ago that, we had some issues on the back end, with the motion. That should not be. They're not running something you haven't seen before. That same motion, you practiced it all week in practice. Tell me why you guys aren't talking. How can a team run a jet sweep right by you, and you don't see it? That makes no sense to me. Because if I'm on the edge of if I'm on the end of the line and I've got contained, the minute that I hear or see that guy coming in motion from the other side, guess what I'm thinking? I'm thinking, hey, here they come. Here they come with the jet sweep. And if I'm an edge rusher or defensive end with my hand in the ground, guess what I'm doing? I'm standing up so I can take it away. I don't know, man. I don't know. Football ain't that complicated, in my opinion. It's not that complicated. All right, let's bring my man Hugh in. I don't know where he been, what he been doing. I've been waiting on him, but hey, it's all good. At least
Wait
here
a minute,
we
hold on.
get a
Am I
couple
late,
minutes out
Seth?
of you, man.
Am I
What's
late?
going on?
Not much.
Huh?
Am I late?
8 o'clock to 8:30, baby. It's all good though.
Seth, I swear I thought you said 8:30. I must have
It's
read it
all
wrong.
good.
My bad,
I'm
dog.
I'm off. I'm off at 8:30, but we're gonna grind it out. It's all good.
Dude, Seth,
So I'm
I'm
gonna throw
thinking,
it at you, man, because I've been listening to y'all, and there's a lot of optimism that things are headed in the right direction. Hugh, this is my perspective. I drank the Kool-Aid all season long. Hey, they 6-1, 7-1, 8-1, 10-1. What are we complaining about? Why are we overanalyzing the thing? Hey, they won. But the thing that we've been looking at, those who know football, we've seen that this team has not been as efficient as it needed to be all season long. And these last two games against the 49ers and the Cowboys have proven that maybe, there's a little bit of fool's gold that's going on with this thing. Maybe this team might not be as good as we think they are, and
yeah.
maybe, yeah, they can turn it around. Not all's lost. But what's the probability of them being able to turn around and fix the problems that they've been trying to fix all season long in the next four weeks?
See, that's the thing, Seth, because you look at it, it can happen, but it's going to happen on the offensive side of the ball because obviously you've seen the same games that I've seen, man. The back end of that defense, they don't have the talent that they need in order to be successful. And the problem that I've been seeing and been watching film, they forced me to watch film a totally different way. I'm looking at the back end, and I'm kind of wondering why there's so many mental errors on the back end. Why there's so many guys that are getting cut off and sealed off from run plays and things of that nature. You can't have that on the back end. The corners, they have to come up and run support. They have to be able to play the run. They have to be able to tackle. And one of the problems that we're having is what I've seen in the last two games is guys getting wired to blocks, guys not getting off blocks, guys not running through people. And you know just as well as I do, Seth, you play linebacker. You got to run through people sometimes. You got, like the old school say, you got to put that bike on some folks, man. You got to put that helmet on somebody.
Hugh, see, what I said earlier in the week was that the Eagles are fundamentally and technically flawed. You just spoke to that because that's a technique thing. I heard Ike say the other day that they don't have time to work on technique and fundamentals in the season. It's about game planning and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So that area is not going to get any better unless the player take it upon himself to work on his technique and his fundamentals and understand that you're not doing it the right way.
Yeah.
So even if you get it right on the offensive side of the ball, even if the offense all of a sudden, boom, the running game starts clicking, the passing game starts clicking, Jalen starts getting back to, who he was last year. That means you're going to have to score every damn possession. Do
That's
you
what it
realize
is.
that?
That's what it is. I look at it like this. Like last year, the Kansas City Chiefs had 2 young corners that they were playing. And you saw they were kind of, learning as they went along. And that's basically what the Kansas City Chiefs did. Listen, this is a league now where, we used to do 9-on-7 and things of that nature, where we used to get our run fits and everything, and people would come up and learn how to get off of blocks and things like that. They don't do that anymore. The collective bargaining agreement, they bargain all of that out. All of those practices with pads and everything, they bargain that out. The reason why we wore pads back in the day was in order to get our run fits and understand, schematically what we're supposed to do up front. That's not the game that they're playing nowadays, Seth. It's not.
Well, it shows. There's no doubt about it. It shows. I don't know. I get what you're saying, but it seems to me that the San Francisco 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys and the Baltimore Ravens are playing that kind of damn football, though.
You know what it is, Seth? Because you got those guys on the back end. Look at those linebackers that the San Francisco 49ers have. And look at our linebackers. Those are grown-ass men back there. Those linebackers are just as big, if not bigger, than our defensive line. You got some grown men back there. Look all across the board. You got guys up there that are physical up front, that get their run fits, and take pride in putting a hat on somebody. You got to have that in this league, man. Not saying that the guys that we have, well, yes, I am saying that. The guys that we have, they don't sell. We don't have them cats, man. We don't have those cats. We don't have a Seth Joyner or a Jeremiah Trotter. And I hate to evoke those names of those old heads because that's not the game that they're playing. But you need to have somebody in that middle. You got to have a man in the middle. You got to have one.
Well, especially now because personnel dictates, for the most part, the offensive personnel dictates what you put on the field.
Yeah.
So basically what you have is teams that have valued the linebacker position. This goes back to Howie and the mindset of how this team was built. The teams that value linebackers, they understand that those, especially today, you're basically a 4-2 front. That's regular. You get nickel and dime, then one of those guys are coming off the field. Or if you go big nickel, you keep them on, you bring another safety in the game instead. But I'm just, I understand what you're saying, man. But, I think there's been a miscalculation as far as these linebackers are concerned. Because when you look at the great defenses, they all got guys that can play. They got guys that play. And I'm talking about they came out of college being a player.
Yeah.
The linebackers that we have on this team, with the exception of Shaq Leonard right now, they're all special teams players. They're all projects where you brought them in, and they've been doing it for years. Alex Singletary, it's just the list just goes on and on.
Yeah,
you got these guys.
You haven't gotten that dog. You haven't found that guy that can run the seam. Play physical up front. If you have to put him up front, and like we used to call Trot the center killer, because he used to mug that center, and it was like having a 50 lineman up front and somebody that can run the tight end seam and things like that, like LaVon Kirkland. You need those bigger linebackers, man, that can play physical. Especially, I know this is the passing league now, and it's mostly predicated for linebackers that can cover, but you still need that physical guy up front that can lay that thigh out.
Well, you need that guy that can do it all.
Yeah.
And you're not getting that. You're not signing a guy in free agency that's doing that unless you're going to pay him a little paper, and they don't want to pay that position. So this is a result of of the personnel that they've chosen to actually get it done. There's a lot of pressure on the defensive line because if you really stop and you think about it, they asking the defensive line to do it all: stop the run, get on the quarterback, to cover up the mishaps that you're having on the back end. That's a lot of pressure. And especially when they go 4-man, and they decide to keep the tight end in for protection, they basically, and even in the run game, the tight ends is involved. Both interior guys are being double teamed every single time.
And you
So
leaving
those
those
guys,
ends.
I heard your comment. I heard your comment today about the guys being tired. Miss me with that. I get you 100% because they ain't playing enough, in my opinion, to get tired. But when you got 600 pounds laying on you for the majority of the snaps that you in the game,
that's a different ball
problematic.
game. Yeah, that's a different ball game. And then you have those ends that are knifing down inside and not reading their run keys. It's one of those things, man. It's the way that they play, and they're getting gashed on plays where they shouldn't be getting gashed on. And that has to be corrected. But like I said, Seth, this is a passing league now, and they spent all the money on the offensive side of the ball. So with that being said, the offensive side of the ball has to be the one that fixes all of this.
Well, let's take a step back a little bit now, because they gave James Bradbury and Darius Slay a pretty good bit of money last year.
They did.
They decided, Hugh, that they were going to let, Epps walk, who was a pretty decent safety for him last year.
Mm-hmm.
They was going to let C.J. Gardner-Johnson, get away, and they were going to let T.J. Edwards, walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying that those guys were absolute world beaters, but when you think about it, I think they would have been better off, spending a little bit of money to bring C.J. Gardner-Johnson back. They would have been solidified at the safety position with him and Reed Blankenship,
Mm-hmm.
and making a decision on which one of those corners you wanted to keep for one more year and getting younger at cornerback. Okay?
Yeah.
So they did spend a little bit of money, but in my opinion, they misspent it. Because the guy that they should have kept, they tried to make it look like he was a problem child, and they ran him, wouldn't give him any money, and they gave it all to the corners. They paid twice as much, for the corners that they were going to have to pay him, at $6 million. They gave both of those guys at least 12.
Yeah.
Look at what you got.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That was a decision that was made, because you look at with like the big play Slay. I'm just going to call him the name that he wants to be called. When you look at big play Slay's deal, they were ready to move away from Slay. They were ready to move on from Slay, and something happened with that Seth, where all of a sudden they just decided to keep him here, and he's had a pretty decent season, but not the kind of season that he's had last year.
Well, the big plays aren't there. That's the issue. I mean, what has he got? One, maybe two interceptions.
He got an interception. Yeah, he got one interception. But here's the thing that gets me. Like, you talk about, everybody talks about blitzing and everything. I can't recall any time that I've seen corner blitzes or those guys come up in the run game and hit somebody. It's always been, tackling after the fact or something like that. I get it. Most corners don't like to tackle, but when you're a team like this team, you need to come up and help out and run support every now and then. You just can't sit back there and catch tackles for the most part. Can't do it.
Well, I mean, that's what kind of got me in the hot water with him a little bit last week, is their lack of willingness. You don't see them. Yeah, listen, in Dallas the other night, they got us out on downs. Why? Because Gilmore decided that they weren't getting those first downs. He came up and laid the wood on them and got A.J. Brown on third down, and then got Devontae Smith on fourth down to turn over on downs. Okay,
yeah, that thigh.
So it's not outside the purview, outside the possibility that you can find corners out there that tackle, but these guys don't tackle. And I don't know whether it's because they play in such a passive mindset that they don't want to give up the big plays, or they're just not wired that way, because they certainly didn't look that way last year, in my opinion.
I call them business decisions, Seth. Around this time of the year, when guys have been playing 16, 17 games, they tend to not want to get hurt and play those plays. But that's the difference between playoff teams and teams that get to go home early. They don't want to. The teams that get to go home early don't want to make those plays.
All right, so we're going to roll into a little bit of bonus time tonight. We're going to take y'all to about, 8:40. Normally we off at 8:30. because we just got so much good stuff going on. I'm gonna give y'all the
Yeah,
last 5 minutes.
Hugh, just tell him what it is, Seth. Hugh messed up the time, man. That's
No, listen, I'm not here to throw no dispersions, man. I'm happy to have you on, man, because
Yeah,
they've
I
been
apologize.
listening
We
to
got
me
to do this again, man, because I gotta get my proper time to talk to my dog, man. I messed that one up.
Listen, we'll do it, man. I'm not that hopeful, Hugh, that they can turn this thing around. That's just me. Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean,
I'm hopeful that they can, because I'm not on the side that I want to see them do bad. I'm just not that hopeful, because I think that they're so flawed in certain areas that this isn't the time of the year where you can fix those types of things. And if they could be fixed, they should have been fixed by now, because some of the same things that plagued them in weeks 3, 4, 5, and 6 are still plaguing them right now in week 13, 14.
Yeah, you know what that is, Seth? That's that OG defensive player that's in you that talks about, even when you play good, you're always told, yeah, but you probably could have did this better. And this is the time of year where it's all been ingrained in all of us that this is when you're supposed to be playing your best football. Like, as much as I hate to say it, it looks like the Dallas Cowboys have hit their stride with their quarterback and their defense. I hate to say it, but it looks like the San Francisco 49ers have hit their stride with their quarterback and their defense. You know, everybody wants to talk about the 3-game skid that they had and everything like that. This is almost like a college scenario where it's better to lose early than late. And right now we're in a situation where we're still soul searching. And the thing that I know what you're talking about is the mental errors on the back end, especially when you have teams that start to go into motion or show you different looks and things that you haven't seen before. It just looks like the Keystone Cops on the back end. And for the life of me, Seth, I never played a whole lot of coverage, but I knew that when I had to drop, I did not want to be the guy that blew my assignment and broke down the integrity of the defense. And we've had that a lot for the last couple of weeks, man. And this is not the time where, you know, we should be messing up things. This is the time we need to start locking in and get ready for a playoff run.
So let me ask you this. I just want to, you know, and not just on the defensive side of the ball, but, you know, the ineptness that we've seen offensively the last 2 weeks as well. Where do you think this team is psychologically? Because, you know, the one thing that I didn't think that I would see is them play the way they played in back-to-back weeks, and more specifically, see them go down to Dallas and get, you know, to get run out of the rodeo like that.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to say, because like we always like to invoke, because we're a little older, we know how it feels to hate Dallas and be in those games, because, you know, we got it from the mud. We had to come up the hard way. This team wasn't always good. So, you know, there was a healthy hatred for Dallas. I don't know, Seth, because I'm thinking that maybe going into the week, they felt like the mistakes that they made were just fluky mistakes and that they could correct them. You know, I was hearing Brandon Graham talking about that. You know, BG is always positive, man. He's always positive. And I was hearing him talking. I was just like, that's an interesting take when he was talking about, hey, they felt good about the film and everything like that. I think they're still in a good space, but I do think that this weekend against the Dallas Cowboys, that was somewhat of a wake-up call for them. They got to get it going Monday night, Seth. They have to get it going Monday night, because, boy, if they don't, this worm is going to turn in this city, and it's going to get ugly.
Hugh, help me, man. Help me. Where on God's green earth do the attitudes of these players, I mean, where are they coming from, where when you get 42 points hung on your ass, that you can feel good about anything? Or that you could, or wait a minute, or that you could be Darius Slay and be in a Twitter feud with me and say, well, I thought I played pretty good. You know, I led the team in tackles with 5. I thought I tackled pretty good. You got your ass drugged through the mud 42 times. Are you kidding me? And you gonna tell me and you see a silver lining? If that ever happened to me, I can't remember, and I'm sure it's happened, but I can't remember a game where we got that kind of points hung on us, where I felt good about myself. I couldn't even sleep till the next Sunday to try to get that stink off of me. Are you kidding me, man?
Seth, listen, I sat back and I did the same thing you did. I'm like, I don't ever recall being happy. I don't ever recall wanting to go to the grocery store, being here in Philadelphia after taking a butt whooping like that. Hell, when I was in New York and we went 1-15, I can't recall being happy. But to have that many points hung on you and try to find a silver lining, it's a different era. That's all I can say. These kids are different because like being here in this city and knowing what the standard is, that's like eating a big old stinky turd, Seth, that you can't wait to get that stink off your breath, man, because you can't wait to play the next game because you do not like the way that feels. That's a horrible feeling.
All right, so as we wrap, they got Seattle Monday night in front of the world.
Mm-hmm.
They got the Giants, the Cardinals, and then the Giants again. And all four of those teams are looking at the last 2 weeks, and in their heart of hearts and in their minds and in their confidence, they believe that they can beat the Eagles the way that the Eagles have got drugged through the mud the last 2 weeks. How do they find, the mental fortitude to get this thing moving in the right direction? Because they got a dogfight on their hands. Seattle lost 4 in a row, and if they got any kind of playoff aspirations, they're still in the picture. If they got any kind of playoff aspirations, they have to win on Monday night. And the Giants have showed last night that they just ain't gonna lay down and give you a game.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals beat the Dallas Cowboys and just drugged them through the mud. So they looking at it like, well, man, if we beat the Cowboys, then we ought to be able to beat the hell out of the Eagles. How are they gonna overcome this, Hugh?
They have to. And you know what, Seth? I know, like, when we were joking about it early in the season and we were talking about the New York Giants, like those 2 games were gimme games. To your point, they don't look like gimme games now. You had to dig deep for this one. And I think, again, we know what this defense is, Seth. And to your point, it's the only way that you're going to get, what you need from that is if you go out and you clone some good players from some other team and put them on this team, because I don't think we have the personnel to do that. Not right now. So it has to be Jalen. It has to be A.J. Brown. And it has to be that offense. They have to get creative in some way, shape, or form. They have to get creative. I would not be surprised in order to win out the way that we're talking about if you didn't have to hang 30 or 40 on every team that you're playing against in order to win the game.
Last question. What happened to the RPO and the read option in our offense?
I think it went away when Jalen got hurt, and he played so well from the pocket early on that's where the game went. And I think the other day, they really ran the ball out of desperation because when you look at that Dallas Cowboy defense, Seth, they just pinned their ears back and came after them on every play. So they ran the ball just trying to find some way to slow that defense down. But you know just as well as I do, if you don't run the ball efficiently, I'm not playing the run. I'm gonna play the pass every time you get under center. I'm playing the pass because I know that's what you like to do.
Wow. Hey, listen, man, we got to do it again. I think before the season's over, we get you, me, and Ike, all 3 of us on to chop it up.
Chop it up. Let's do it.
For sure. Hey, listen, man, I appreciate your time. I'll talk to y'all on Thursday, man.
Okay.
Thursday afternoon at 11. You and Joe, we'll chop it up and talk about where the team is and where they headed, leading into Monday night. But I appreciate you, bro. Thanks.
Not a problem, man. We got to do this again.
Okay, we'll do. So that's the show for today. You guys got about 13 minutes of bonus time. Listen, I appreciate the comments. I appreciate the likes. Thank you for subscribing to the Seth Joyner Show on YouTube channel. Appreciate, you guys in the live view. I see you. There's a lot of y'all here today, and I appreciate, the support. Listen, we're just going to wait and see, what happens with this Eagle team. I got my fingers crossed, and I'm hoping for the best. I'm not the most optimistic, in my belief that they can get it all turned around. But we'll see. We will see. All right. I'm going to wrap it right there. As usual, you guys take care of each other and be good to each other. But make sure, you guys love each other, most importantly. We'll be right back here next week, same place, same time. Hopefully in a much better mood to chop it up and look forward to, the 15th one. All right. Signing off, Seth Joyner.
Are you selling your investment real estate? Are you interested in deferring your tax with a 1031 exchange? At RevX, we're experts in 1031 exchange planning and the use of passive real estate options using DSTs. Not in the midst of an exchange and want to invest in real estate but don't know where to start? Revolution X has institutional grade real estate options for any size investor right now. Set up a consultation at RevXWealth.com. RevX, defer the tax, maximize the gain. At Mandrecchia Law, we win big personal injury cases, but we always tell our clients up front that those cases almost always hinge on how much insurance coverage people or companies have. At Mandrecchia Law, we don't sell insurance, but we're experts at helping our clients make sure they have the right insurance to protect their businesses and families. Do you have the right insurance? Most people don't. For a consultation, visit mmattorneys.com or call 610-584-0700. Mandrecchia Law, aggressive attorneys who get the job done.
This is Seth Joyner, top analyst for the Birds. I've also analyzed the best auto dealerships, and I drive a Davis Honda.
Fall into savings at Davis Honda. Over 300 cars available. And right now, get rates as low as 0.9% at Davis Honda in Burlington. Plus, you'll get 2 years of free oil changes on every new and used Davis Honda vehicle. See why Davis Honda continues to win outstanding awards for sales and service, including the highest award from Honda, the President's Award. Get to Davis Honda in Burlington.
Fall into savings at Davis Honda. JP Mascaro & Sons is a family-owned, locally operated solid waste service company in business for over 60 years. You've seen the red trucks with the blue elephant that symbolizes strength and reliability. Mascaro is different than other national brands. Like the Birds, Philadelphia is home. They'll take care of all your waste removal needs. They have it all: an experienced workforce, state-of-the-art equipment, a cutting-edge recycling center, and their own disposal facilities. Call 888-MASCARO or visit jpmascaro.com.